What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another Words with X, where words is what keeps us moving from day to day. Now, I'm going to ask y'all a question. I'm going to get a little deep on this episode. Y'all ever stop and ask what really drives you? I mean, what really makes a mother lover go out, do what needs to be done, make what needs to happen, etc., etc.? I ain't talking about having to pay bills, not that kind of thing. I'm talking about that deeper drive in you that keeps your fuel burning even when you ain't got no energy. That bigger goal that even after smaller goals are done, you still got that one big goal you want to achieve underneath all them small goals, stuff like that. That kind of drive, that kind of fuel. Y'all ever ask what that is for you? Now, I'm not saying you only got one. You could have a lot. Hell, I'm sure a lot of us have a lot of drives that drive us to a certain extent. I know I do. But use me as an example of what I'm talking about. Like for me, one of my biggest drives is my wife. And I hate to say that, but it is. It's my wife and to make her happy. That's why it'd be like 4 in the morning. She wants something to drink or something, not feeling well, stuff like that. I will get up and do it. I'm tired. I don't want to, but I know it'll make her happy. So I'm like, all right, there we go. That happiness, her happiness, inspires me a lot in what I do. That kind of drive. Another thing that drives me is the constant urge to do better, to grow, to learn something I never knew before. I love learning. I love growing. Take this for example. When I first started, my process was completely different. Like, really different. How I set up for it, the whole shebang. Even now, I'm still experimenting with what works and what I don't feel works like I like. Like you see, if production got this right, this is the first episode with an intro when I started talking, which I've been trying to get done for a while now, and it finally got up and going, I'm hoping. So, don't get me wrong. I take something from everything as far as learning, whether it be complete success or complete failure or a mixture of it. There's always something I can take from it. Because it's that desire to grow and learn and to be able to go from I wish I had to I wish I remember when is another thing that drives me, that fuels me. Get it? You get what I'm saying about that? So I bring back to the original question. What drives you? Have you ever really stopped and asked yourself that? Don't feel bad, most people don't, because most people think they know all about who they are and that everything is explainable, yada, 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 yada. And if it ain't explainable, then a lot of times people just ignore it and don't think about it. Well, that ain't me. I'm not that type. I don't mind digging into me deep in myself, looking at myself, stuff like that. So the whole point to this podcast, actually all my podcasts, if you want to get technical about it, is to make you think, the listener think. And because of that drive I mentioned a little while ago, the drive I have to learn and grow, make me think too, actually. So sometimes even I be in the podcast, as I'm speaking, I'm thinking, well, what is it for me? If it wasn't for this podcast, I never would have been able to fully tell you what drives me. I'll be honest, I couldn't put it in words. It's not something you bring up in conversation, like you sitting at a bar or something. Hey, how was your day? It's pretty good. So what drives you? You don't hear people sitting there talking like that nowhere. So like I said, if it weren't for even this podcast, I wouldn't have been able to tell you a couple of the things actually that drives me. I had ideas, don't get me wrong, but I never would have been able to put them as simple as I did earlier. Those aren't the only things that drive me either. My love for writing drives me, my inner writer, if you will, drives me a lot of times. My love for video recording and editing drives me too. So don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that drive me. It's just I just named the first two that came to mind that I knew were the biggest in the beginning. To say one thing drives a person is rare, but completely understandable. If you're that person that says it's just one thing, fine. Shoot, I know some people just like one. I know I have a lot of things, so like I said, I'm a happy husband, so of course my wife is going to be one of my biggest drives. I'm a dog father, so I mean, as weird as that sounds, I know, I guess, yeah, dog father, so the safety of the dog and everything, and that situation also drives me a lot of times. So when you really stop and think about it, if you stop and think about it, what drives you will come if you actually look at your life and stuff like that. Shoot, I know parents in general, I'm not even going to say good or bad, just parents in general, I know your kids and your family usually drives you, because I know a lot of people out there working like 2 jobs to give them a great and happy life and to keep them safe and stuff like that. Shoot, I'm sure when you were young, you ain't ever thought you'd be doing like 2 jobs, selling what you had to sell, like your prized possessions and stuff like that, or carpooling to work. Just a lot of things you did that you never planned to do, but you know it'll make your family happier, which in terms usually is saving a little bit of money or whatever the reason is. The point is, when you break it all down away, peel back all them layers, the bottom line should be, parents, 90% of the time, is your family, is your kids, stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's that family, that drive to see your child, your wife, all that happy and safe, that is fueling parents, and heck, in this situation, even me, for my wife and the dog, and inspiring, like me and anybody else, and giving us all the energy and motivation to do what we need to do to get all that stuff done. Well, I went on a real rant right there, because it's just, like I said, as I'm doing it, I'm thinking at the same time, and I'm like, this kind of applies to me too. So, and not once, most likely, do you ever question your choice to do it. I know I never do. Like, don't get me wrong, I might complain in my head when it's 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, I ain't got to go to work, I'm getting woken up by a dog or her to do something. But again, that underlying drive that's always there, fueling me, pushes me to get up, do what needs to be done, because again, makes her happy, dog's happy, safe, all that stuff. That is what I'm talking about when I ask what drives you, what make you think a little bit deeper about that. So I jump back to the original question. What drives you? What motivates you? Marinate on that today. Just really stop and think about it when you're going out today, when you're doing stuff. Don't think about like, oh, I want my car to look nice or all that type of stuff. Like, really stop and ask yourself, what drives you? Like, seriously. Really stop and think about that. Alright, y'all. That's another Words with X for you for today. Hope it got you thinking about what drives you today. And if it didn't, then maybe give it some thought. You'd be surprised what you'll get once you start digging into that brain a little bit deeper than what's on the surface. So, thanks for listening. And as always, remember, words is what keeps us moving.